Into the boroughs, the faithful tune in. Gary Mack's in the booth, let the musings begin. Orange and blue, through the highs and the lows, breaking down every pitch, cause that's how it goes. It's MetsMusings, where the stories ignite. A recap, a rant, and a Saturday night. Stats and passion, a voice fans trust. All for the team that's forever with us.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of MetsMusings. I hope you all had a great week out there. It's been a very difficult week, both for the Mets, of course, and for the country. There's been a lot of death around lately. We lost 3 members of the Mets family. Davey Johnson, of course, the winningest manager in Mets history. Jim Bethke and Jim Marshall, the oldest living Met, former Met, who was 94 years old when he passed. And, of course, the Mets' performance was not good. We also suffered a political assassination in this country and a violent death of a young girl in the state of North Carolina. So it's not been a good week. And we look at the Mets and it seems so inconsequential, so unimportant. But that's what we do. We're fans. And we have a devotion to the sport and to the team. And it just has not been a good week all in all. But we're here to talk about the Mets. And last week we said they had probably the 7 most important games of their season coming up, and they needed to go 6-1, 5-2 at the worst to stay in this race. They didn't deliver. They went 1-6. 1-6. They spent the past week perfecting their impersonation of a sinking ship. The offense spent the week perfecting the art of almost getting hits, almost scoring runs, almost winning games, but they didn't. The pitchers, for the most part, kept them in the games. The 3 young rookies are the only bright spot that we've had. Pete Alonso looks like he's already quit the season. Francisco Lindor, nothing. Juan Soto's the only one that's getting some hits and stealing bases. And they've been terrible since June. I have an email from my good friend Jeff Cohen, and Jeff, if you'll forgive me, I am not going to read the whole thing, but he breaks it down. They went from a good team to a flawed team. Since June, they've been swept by inferior teams like Tampa, Pittsburgh, Atlanta, Cleveland, Milwaukee, who's a good team. San Diego's pretty good also. But the point is that they played down to their opponents. And he lifts a bunch of pitchers that were used 45 pitchers the Mets have used this year. 45. Now, everybody wants to go out and hang Mendoza and hang David Stern now, and should they have done a better job of getting in? Yes, maybe they should have got more pitching in. But before June, we wouldn't have thought that. It was going pretty good. They had the best pitching staff in the league. Then the injuries hit. I still maintain that I think the biggest injury that really hurt them was Griffin Canning. Now, when he got hurt, the pitching staff was not performing. It was starting to slip. Let's put it that way. But I think that was the final nail in the coffin when Griffin Canning got hurt, because he was the one guy they would still been able to. I should say two. Canning and Peterson were the two guys that they could hang their hats on, that were coming up big for them in when they needed it. Once he got hurt, that was it. I mean, that was really it. They really went downhill. They went down fast. Yes, they had a 6-game winning streak, and they had here and there, but they just weren't the same team. And for some reason, I can't figure it out with this offense. There are so many streaky hitters. Is it possible? I don't think it is. It's just, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's an approach that they have, but I don't know. Next year they have to do better. They have to look to improve their defense. They have to look to improve their offense. And they have to improve their pitching. There's no two ways about it. Now, the good thing is that they have promoted these young players, 3 young pitchers who have shown great promise even at the major league level. I know Sproat lost, and Tong lost, and McLean lost their last starts, but they kept their team in the game. The offense failed them. I think Tong gave up 3 runs in his start, and Sproat gave up 2, and McLean gave up 2. So, they're not going to pitch a shutout all the time. So at least next year, they will have quite a few numbers going into the season. They'll have those 3. They'll have Peterson. Senga will be back. Minaya will be back, who he has been terrible this year. Can they straighten him out? Maybe if he comes in healthy, he'll be better. This year he's been struggling with chips in his elbow, and he came in late because of an injury. He didn't start the season and came in late, and maybe a fresh start for him. And if he can stay healthy in the off season and come in and start the season, okay, maybe he'll be better. Same thing with Senga. Who knows what's wrong with him? But they'll have that as a starting five. Peterson will be back. So they'll actually have a starting six if they decide to go to a six-man rotation, and perhaps they should. But this team is floored. The offense, there's no real clutch hitters on this team. When you need Alonso, he disappears. When you need Lindor, he has disappeared. They have no viable DH on a consistent basis on a day-to-day, daily, and they just got a lot of holes. The bullpen has been awful. Now, as I said, people want to blame David Stearns. He didn't do enough for the bullpen. Well, come on. He went out and got Helsley, who was one of the top relief pitchers in the business. It just didn't work out. It's just he's been terrible. He can't get anybody out. But at the time, everybody says, whoa, what a great get. So do you blame a general manager or president of the club for that? Do you blame the manager for that? Do you blame the pitching staff for the coaching staff? I don't think so. The general manager gets the players. The coaches coach him. The manager manages him, and it's up to them to perform. And they're not performing. And then there's the injuries. They lost. We've done the injury updates how many times here? We know. It's just been not a good season for them. They've lost probably or most of their entire pitching staff at one point. Manaea, Montes, McGill, Senga missed a considerable amount of time. Canning, of course. Siri, they missed Siri, the guy they signed for center field. They missed him most of the year. They made a trade for Cedric Mullins. It didn't work out. Mullins has been a flop. So you can point fingers and blame people all you want, but the fact of the matter of it was that this team they don't pitch. They don't go lengthy into games, and the bullpen has been awful. It's just been bad. They've had brief, moments where they'll pitch dominating ball for a couple of games, and then it's like they forgot how to get people out. But that's the game. And but in the light of all the circumstances that have gone on around us lately, we have to remember that it is just a game. It's a sport, and have to deal with it that way as best that we can. Let's take a break and come back with some happier news as we go down on the farm and talk about the minor leagues that have been very exciting and a lot of fun to watch. And we'll do that right after this.
Baseball and BBQ, your place for interesting baseball talk, opinions, and history. Baseball and BBQ, your place for barbecue recipes, tips, and interviews from the world of barbecue. If you like baseball and if you like barbecue, then tune in to Baseball and BBQ. Find us on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, and BaseballTalkRadio.com.
Okay, we're back, and it's time to go down the phone. Well, this has been the bright spot of the week. The minor leagues, for the first time since moving to the South Atlantic League, the Brooklyn Cyclones are headed to the SAL Championship Series. Brooklyn topped Greensboro 4-1 on Thursday night last night to complete the two-game sweep of the Greensboro Grasshoppers. It's Brooklyn's first appearance in a championship series of any kind since their New York Penn League title in 2019. Right-handed pitcher Joel Diaz was excellent in last night's game, keeping Greensboro hitters at bay all night long. The 21-year-old threw 6.2 shutout innings, limiting the Grasshoppers to just 2 hits. Diaz struck out a pair and walked only 2 batter. He was far from the only Brooklyn arm to come through, though, as right-handed Hoss Brewer and right-handed pitcher Dakota Hawkins took the baton the rest of the way, combining on 2.1 innings of 1-run ball. Brewer logged a hold while Hawkins recorded the final 6 outs in the 8th and the 9th. Offensively, center fielder Jonathan Henriquez and left fielder John Bay both logged multi-efforts. Henriquez also collected a pair of RBIs. Right fielder Yohato Cuevas also drove in 2 of the 4 Brooklyn runs. Now, the Cyclones had won Game 1 of their possible 3-game playoff series, defeating the Greensboro Grasshoppers 4-3. The other evening, Colin Hawk came through with a clutch 2-run homer in the 8th to lift Brooklyn to Game 1 win. So congratulations to the Brooklyn Cyclones. They go to the Sally Championship Series starting Sunday, and they will play the Hub City Spartanburgers, who swept the Bowling Green Hot Rods in their 3-game series. They won the first 2 games in pretty good fashion there, and so it should be exciting as the Cyclones. And keep in mind, the Cyclones were very good the first half of the season, won their division. The second half of the season, they finished under 500 and in the middle of the pack. Most of that was because they lost a lot of their players, were promoted to the Binghamton Rumble Ponies and on to Syracuse. So they had to click, and now they seem to be gelling as a team again, and that would be great for them to make this comeback and to win this championship. Also in the playoffs starting the playoffs is the Florida State League, and Game 1 was rained out the other evening, but it was made up Wednesday at Daytona, with St. Lucie winning 4-2 to St. Lucie Mets. Game 2 shifted to Clover Park in St. Lucie, and Daytona beat the St. Lucie Mets 7-2. So they're tied a game apiece. tonight will be the final game of the series, so keep your fingers crossed that St. Lucie can pull out a victory and they can move on to their championship series. Now, Syracuse will end their regular season on the 21st of September. Binghamton ends a week earlier. They are ending on the 14th, and their division series starts the 16th. Syracuse won their division in the first half, and hopefully will go far in the playoffs as well. So three of the four minor league affiliates that we cover mostly here are in the playoffs. And Syracuse has a shot. They did not win the first half, so they must win the second half. They were, at last look, 3 games back of first place in their division. Let me just take a quick look here and see if we can check that out real quick and see where Syracuse is standing. It sure would be nice to get them into the playoffs as well, but don't forget they have sent a lot of players to the Mets, so they are now a little hurting for plays. They are 4 games out of first place with about 12 left, something like that. So it's going to be tight for them to try to catch the Scranton Wilkes-Barre team, but keep your fingers crossed. Maybe they can do it. I had some other things here, but I'm not even going to go through them at this point in time. Because it's just been so disappointing with this team. However, there's 15 games left. Realistically, they need to go 15-0. They can't lose again to have a chance at the division. They're 11 games behind. They got to go 15-0 and still could lose the division. And the wild card is slipping away as well. They've only got a 2-game lead in that, and Cincinnati and San Francisco have been playing good ball again. They do have the tiebreaker against San Francisco, should they tie, by virtue of winning the season series, while the Reds hold the tiebreaker over the Mets. So you do not want to tie with the Cincinnati Reds. You'd rather tie with the Giants if you have to tie with anybody. But go out and win it. Just go out. It's not going to get any easier. Tonight, the Texas Rangers come into town, and Jacob deGrom is going to pitch. And it should be interesting. He's going to go against Jonah Tong. So, the youth of yesteryear against the youth of tomorrow. So, we'll see how that works out. But hasn't been a good week, folks. 15 games left. Let's hope they can get it together. And that's going to wrap it up for this week's show. I hope that you enjoyed it. I'm sorry for the pessimistic mood. Just been very difficult. And let's hope for a better tomorrow. I'm Gary Mack, and I'll see you next time on another edition of Mets Musings.